Chelsea 0, Manchester United 2, a tactical analysis. How Solskjaer's 5-2-3 shape beat Lampard's side. Before the video starts, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on our 4-part series looking at why Adama Traore has improved so much this season, why he's so valuable in the modern game, and an analysis of how he'd fit into different side systems if he were to make a move there in the summer. Once those are released, I will link them in the description below. Also check out the first 2 episodes of our series looking at 3 Solskjaer replacements for Manchester United to consider. They will also be linked in the description below, and the 3rd episode will be coming out later this week. So going into this game, Lampard set up his Chelsea side in a familiar 4-3-3 shape, with Azpilicueta at left back, Reece James at right back, either side of 2 centre backs Antonio Rudiger and Christensen. Jorginho played as a single deep pivot with Kante and Kovacic either side of him, and the front 3 consisted of Willian on the right, Pedro on the left and Batshuayi starting up front. Solskjaer used a 5-2-3 shape with a back 3 of Bailly, Maguire and Shaw, Williams at left wing back with Wan-Bissaka on the right, Fred and Matic playing as a double pivot in midfield with Fernandes playing in front of them, in behind Daniel James and Anthony Martial. So from the start of the game it was clear that Solskjaer was seeking to use a similar game plan to the type he had had success with against the likes of Liverpool, Manchester City and Chelsea in the Carabao Cup. United defended in a 5-2-3 shape with the front 3 pressing as a front 3 rather than Fernandes dropping back into central midfield. When the ball was in Chelsea's build-up phase, Martial and James would seek to apply the pressure to either centre-back, with Fernandes sitting in between them, cutting off the passing lanes into Jorginho and Kovacic. Solskjaer did this as he realised that Chelsea's fundamental way of progressing the ball forward was through Jorginho's long passing from deep or Kovacic's dribbles past players in central areas. Matic and Fred would sit on Kovacic and Kante tightly and follow them if they looked to move into deep positions either side of the United front 3. When the ball shifted out wide to the fullbacks, Wan-Bissaka and Williams would push up the pitch to close them down, with Bailly and Shaw, the wide centre-backs, following Pedro and Willian tightly when they looked to move into the space that had been vacated by the pressing movement from the United wing-backs. When the United press was beaten and Chelsea had established possession in the middle third, James and Martial did drop, but not into wide positions. Instead they maintained positions in a front 3 with Daniel James looking to press Kovacic from that left side of central midfield. Kovacic however was able to bypass James with a dribble and progress the Chelsea attack forward into the final third on a few occasions. Chelsea looked to press United in a more reserved 4-3-3 shape with Willian and Pedro pushing up to close down the 2 United central midfielders and wide centre-backs, aiming at trying to stop United simply being able to shift the ball wide to Chelsea press to Bailly and Shaw, enabling them to move out with the ball. This did however leave space on the flanks for Maguire to play a pass over the top for one of the wing-backs, which enabled United to bypass the Chelsea press and progress the ball into the Chelsea half. Solskjaer's use of Bruno Fernandes was a lot different to how he was deployed during his first game against Wolves. If you haven't seen that already, it will be linked in the eye above so you can go and check out that video if you are interested. In this game however, Bruno Fernandes was used a lot higher up the pitch, making a lot of movement similar to that of a false 9. Chelsea's midfield likes to push up the pitch to squeeze a play when they lose the ball in the opposition's half, which enables them to exert pressure on players like Fred and Matic and potentially win the ball back, but this did create a lot of space in behind their midfield. Solskjaer looked to exploit this by having Fernandes sit high up alongside the Chelsea back line, and when the ball was moved into the United midfield he would look to make a movement deep into the space between the lines. However, United's deep possession block in particular, Shaw, Bailly, Wan-Bissaka and Matic, didn't have the vision or ability to play those quick incisive passes into Fernandes to break the lines and progress the United attack forward into the final third. This led to a lot of sideways passing and allowed Chelsea to recover their shape, stagnating the United attack. Chelsea had most of their success down their left side, with Solskjaer instructing the wide centre-backs to follow the Chelsea wide attackers when they moved deep. Pedro would often look to drop deep, which would drag Bailly with him and create a massive space in behind him for Mason Mount to make a run into. If Tammy Abraham had been on the pitch, Chelsea may have taken the lead, as Batshuayi was incredibly poor when it came to finishing from within the box, missing the target on a few occasions. United did struggle to progress the ball into the final third and resorted to playing direct passes into James or Martial and hoping they could spin their defender and move the ball up the pitch. However, a lot of the time Rudiger and Christensen were able to win the ball back and sustain Chelsea attacks. United's goal did come against a run of play, with Wan-Bissaka whipping in a fantastic cross for Martial to leap ahead of Christensen and head United in front. The second half started much the same, with United's backline man-to-man marking Chelsea wide players. As we can see, when Willian drops deep to get on the ball, he is confronted early by Shaw, whilst Brandon Williams positions himself in a way that stops Reece James making a run into that space vacated by the left-sided centre-back. With Kante coming off injured midway through the first half and being replaced by Mount, Chelsea looked to use Mason Mount by positioning him higher up the pitch than Kante, looking to get into the half space in behind Fred. This was probably to force Fred to sit slightly deeper and not allow him to push up the pitch to join the front three in a press on Kovacic and Jorginho. This did enable Chelsea to control possession in the middle third a lot more than they did in the first half. Chelsea looked most dangerous when Willian was able to move Shaw out of the left channel with his movement, with Reece James also sitting deep. Mason Mount was then able to make a run off Matic into that right-sided channel, which allowed him to put in a great cross for Giroud's goal, but was ultimately disallowed. United played out a familiar second half, unable to really sustain possession in Chelsea's half due to a lack of incisive passing from deep, meaning they looked to quickly transition attacks using Martial and James's pace, but for the most of the time these long direct passes were just giving the ball back to Chelsea. Chelsea had a similar problem with Batshuayi, who was unable to hold up the ball and bring the midfield into play, but when Giroud came on, he played as a deep line forward. Chelsea were able to bounce the ball off of him and get players like Pedro and Mason Mount on the ball in behind the United midfield. Bruno Fernandes did make a huge difference when it came to set pieces, as his well delivered corner was met by Harry Maguire, who made it 2-0, showing just how important it is to have good set piece technicians in a tight game like this one. VAR's decision to disallow 2 Chelsea goals will ultimately take the headlines. However, at the end of this game, the key point that can be taken for both sides is the lack of ability to link the attack and midfield effectively, with Chelsea struggling to bring runners into play when the ball is played into the front line, whereas United are struggling to even make those incisive passes into players between the lines in the first place. This lack of creativity can be best displayed by the very low expected goals from this game, with neither side creating enough chances to warrant more than one expected goal in this game. Thank you for watching. Remember to like and share the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this.